Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cool Real Estate. I'm Jasper Cool here with my dad, Mark Cool. Today, we're trying something new. We're going live on YouTube. So if
Yeah.
anyone joins, just feel free to drop a comment. Let us know we're here. And if you have any questions at any time, just feel free to chime in and drop them in the comments, and we'll get to them. So we usually just like to jump in straight away, go to a deal breakdown and a little bit of recap of our past week in business. So do you want to just jump in with that?
Yeah, sure. So we've been in a little bit of a drought lately. We had I think we closed 9 deals in May, and then in June we haven't closed anything yet. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. But I'll just go through what we have in escrow, and just talk about that a little bit, just to give some insight into what's happening. Let's see. I'm going to pull up my Podio and look at the transactions tab here really quickly and run through these. So we've got. Let's see, this is 2 properties in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have five ready to close in escrow. 1, 2. Yeah. I'm confused because I've got 2 properties combined into one deal, but they're separated out in my thing. So anyway, we got one here that's 2 lots sold to the same buyer, and we've had title issues with this one. We've got the one seller who's the woman is ready to sell and sign and everything, and then her husband's deceased, and there's still some people on that side that are not accounted for by the lawyer, so he's not feeling comfortable to close, or says we can't get title insurance. And this is the one where I got the buyer to agree to do a special warranty deed, which is just that the seller is warranting that they did not put anything on the title since they've owned it, but they're not guaranteeing anything prior to that. But this one's still kind of floating out there, but we have a few that should be good to go. We have one that's was scheduled to close on Monday, but I think it might close on Tuesday or Wednesday. And that's a vacant lot in Cumberland County. And we got another one we've worked on forever that's we had to open an estate file 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think that's going to be recorded, and we might even close it this week. But it's been dragging on to try and get heir affidavits and get an estate open. There's like 5 brothers and sisters who are all signing on it and stuff like that. So it's one we've had an escrow, I think, for 3 months now. And then we've got another one we were waiting on a perk test to close. That's one's been in escrow for about 30 days, and we just got the perk approval, thumbs up on that. So that's great. And that we've asked the lawyer to give us the earliest possible closing date, hoping that's this coming week. But that lawyer's been a little bit slow. And then we've got another one that also is ready to go. So anyway, good news is we could close, anywhere from 1 to 4 deals this week, and within the next 2 weeks, we'll probably be closing all of those 4 or 5 deals.
That's great.
Yeah. So, end the drought and get back to having some money,
Yeah.
having some surplus cash. But
Yeah, July is going to be a big month.
yeah, and July, well, June, hopefully we close all those in June.
Oh,
No,
that's
no,
good.
first week of July. Some might close the first week of July. I'm looking at my wall
Okay.
calendar. But yeah, we should get a good end to June and a good start to July. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, I don't know if I don't really have any stories about that stuff off the top. Um, I guess I can talk about other things going on in the business. We got some hiring stuff going on where I think I've shared with you, Jasper, looking to hire somebody who can make calls for us for disposition to, we have the investor-based protocol that we want to be following more to the letter of what they suggest, which is really pulling as many buyers as you can in an area and basically cold calling them all first, and then
Mhm.
texting and emailing. And we've really just been emailing and texting them because our acquisition specialist doesn't have the ability to make calls right now with his home setup. So anyway, we're bringing somebody on board to make calls for us so we can do a bigger buyer outreach and get more offers on our properties, get more eyes on our properties, and build our buyer list.
Yeah.
So we interviewed somebody this week that the team all liked, and I think she's going to be coming on for a trial next week. See how we do, and then if she has any downtime with the dispositions outreach, then she would be doing lead follow-up in acquisitions, just going through our older leads and seeing if she can revive them.
Hmm.
Looking forward to that coming on. And then we've talked about Scale Army a little bit in the past, for hiring, and I got my first batch of candidates from them this week, and they were pretty good. I got 3 people. Two of them had relevant experience. One, the experience wasn't as relevant to real estate. All of the accents were a little bit more than I want to have for my business. One was pretty good, like really close, but the other two were just like, sometimes when I'm listening to, or I'm getting a video from an applicant for a job, I'll just close my eyes and see if I can actually understand what they're saying
Yeah.
without having to go, what was that word? And it's because that person on the phone is not seeing their mouth moving. They're just hearing this person. And
Hmm.
2 out of these 3 candidates, I was just like, no, you can't understand them clearly enough with
Yeah.
their accents. And I don't want my people I'm dealing with on the phone to be having to decipher an accent in order to, getting somebody on the phone in this business is enough of a thing, right? Just like, wow, we got a seller on the phone. We don't want them then to go, I can't understand you, click.
Yep.
um, anyway, the third candidate's got real estate experience, and his accent was the least bad of the 3, but I still don't think I would hire him. So I gave feedback to them, and hopefully they'll send me another batch of candidates next week. But yeah, that's the hiring thing. And then I think we got a contract yesterday. I get alerts on my email when somebody signs one of our contracts, and so our acquisitions closer was out yesterday for a family reunion, and I got a message in that somebody signed. So I sent him a follow-up email and text, just like, hey, thanks for signing with us, and we're looking forward to working with you, and here's what's next, and all that stuff. So that's 2 lots from one seller in a subdivision where we've already sold. I think we've sold 3 or 4 lots in that same subdivision this year so far. So feels
Nice.
like a good one to get. Yeah. So kudos to our acquisitions guy at Wilson. And then I think he got one other contract this week. Yeah, we got one in Mebane also for a vacant lot, which is a good area to get a lot in. It's in urban Mebane.
Yeah.
So Mebane's, Alamance County, which is a good county for us here in North Carolina. And I think that's one where one of our VIP buyers might snap that up before we even market it widely. So that's 3 contracts that came in this week, which is nice. And we got a bunch of stuff in dispo. So fingers crossed on that, especially getting this person in this week to make calls on the stuff we have in dispo. I think it may help us accelerate things. It looks like we have 12 properties in dispo right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I know it's a lot of properties. I know a couple of these are kind of cold. One of them we already got a price reduction on, and it still might be a little steep. The property needs a lot of work. It's a house in Burlington. One of them is Johnson Road, which I've checked in about the subject to that we have that we're trying to owner finance sell. I think I didn't share that victory online, but I did get the air conditioning working there last week, so that gives us a much better chance to sell that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see what we have here. Yeah, so Jasper, I was talking to you about Ohio. We've got 1, 2, 3 contracts in Ohio here in Dispo. I just learned that in Ohio they passed a law that you can't wholesale there, but you can close up to 2 assignment deals per year if you're not a real estate agent. So we've got 1 in escrow there, and we have, looks like 3 contracts in our Dispo in Ohio. So, oh no, 4. Um, so 4 out of these 12 are in Ohio. So we'll have to see how that goes. If we sell these,
Yeah,
we
that's
can
interesting.
we can legally close 1 more, but we have still a couple more after that. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was kind of a slap in the face, as I was sharing with you offline, Jasper, to know that you can't wholesale in Ohio. And ChatGPT told me otherwise.
Yeah, I wonder how they enforce that though. If anyone listening does wholesale in Ohio, or if you have wholesale there, maybe you could chime in. But
Yeah,
I wonder how they actually would enforce that. Because, for example, if you can close 2 deals a year, right, you could probably close 2 with one title company, 2 with another. Like, how are they going to actually know? Unless you're closing 10 with one title company, then they obviously know.
Right. Or unless somebody reports you, right?
Yeah, but if you're selling them all to different buyers, different title companies, different like how they know, I wonder about that.
Yeah. That's a good question, is like ask somebody who is wholesaling over there. I wonder if I can. Oops. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I went over to the YouTube thing to look at the chat.
Oh,
But yeah, I wonder if there's like an investor group that I could go on to, like a Facebook group, and just say, hey, what's going on with wholesaling over here? Is anybody still wholesaling, or, what do you?
yeah,
But then again, if you're doing underground stuff, you probably don't want to be saying it on a Facebook group where people could be outed. So might not be the right place. But
yeah,
I guess I could just do a generic question like anybody wholesaling in Ohio, DM me, right? Or something like that.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I know I've seen people on social media that are definitely wholesaling there. So maybe they're just licensed, maybe they found another way around it. I don't know.
yeah, I'm curious. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for the global check-in on the real estate business. That Ohio thinks we're going to have to pivot to other states because, as we've talked about, North Carolina is probably going to pass a law soon that's going to restrict wholesaling here. And yeah, we got one other thing I wrote down for tools was that we're trying out this payment platform called GeekPay for our owner finance deals, and it's a platform that was created by these guys who have a company called Land Geeks, and they're kind of land gurus and stuff like that. But they started a payment platform for owner finance deals called Geek Pay, and so far I like it a lot. I'm doing a trial. I put a trial loan in there for us to test it, but they
Hmm.
give you all your amortization table, and they send reports to me as the lender, but they send out statements to the buyers also. So um, it's more rigorous or has more features than QuickBooks has, which we've been using. So we're looking at pivoting into that. We have, I don't know, I think we have like 8 owner finance deals in process, maybe 9 right now. So we have quite a few to manage, and having a good platform to manage them is a difference maker because we've had to do a lot of creating amortization tables for people or checking on their late fees or things like that and sending them a notice. And we just want that stuff all automated. So
Hmm.
that's a tool I'm looking into. So if you are doing any owner finance deals and you want to know how that's going, just shout me out and I'll let you know. But yeah, I think that's all I got. Why don't we switch over? And I know you, Jasper, talked about a deal that you had that took you a year to to get closed, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was a fun one.
Curious to hear about that.
Yeah, well, I'll save that for the end. I'll do a quick check-in just on our week in business and everything. But this week was a bit slower for contracts. We only had one signed, but it was signed on technically Saturday. It was signed like really late night on Friday, but I guess it's technically Saturday. It was interesting. This seller is in Alaska, and so I'm not sure the exact time zone, but maybe she just works third shift or something. But she had requested for us to like only contact her after 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern. And so I don't know if anyone knows the Alaska time zone. I don't know it off the top of my head, but anyways, she only responded like late at night. And so kudos to my acquisition agent who was working with her because he stayed late on Friday to like go over all of her questions. She had a lot of objections. Literally, the walkthrough call with him was 27 minutes long. And just to give you guys an example, they're typically 5 to 10 minutes. Like it's not that.
Just walking through the contract.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I've had a 20-minute one before where they
yeah.
every single point they had a question about every single point.
Yep. That's this type of seller. She was this type of seller. And
What
so,
what type personality is that? That's a C personality, right? The detail
yeah.
and the disc profile.
Definitely, definitely very detail oriented. And so, I mean, it's either that or they had a bad experience with another investor, right? And they were just like jaded. And so I think it was a combination of the two. But she was very, very specific. So I don't need to go into that whole story. But anyways, we got the contract signed, so that was a win. But yeah, so I just woke up on Saturday morning to having that contract signed, and then another win on Saturday. We got a price reduction on another property that we needed one on, so that was another win. And that's 2 weeks in a row that we got a contract on Saturday, technically one and a half because we got one contract, one price reduction this week. And then last week we got a signed contract on Saturday too. So I'm just happy that my acquisition agent that is working Saturdays is continuing to do that. And it's been a huge help for us. So that's awesome. I just recently did that like probably a month ago or so.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we did
And
it around the same time when Wilson came
yeah,
on board for us. He's working Saturdays, and it makes a difference because he gets a lot of people on the phone that he wouldn't get
Yeah.
throughout the week because they're busy with work and kids and this and that. But on Saturdays, he's able to just have a list and often get people on the phone and get a contract. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for anyone listening, if you're not doing that, I would definitely recommend, whether it's you like working by yourself or if you have a team, I would recommend at least putting in some hours on Saturday. Maybe it's a half day, not a full day, but at least putting in some time can be very helpful to get more deals. And we also have a Slack channel for anyone who has a team. We have a Slack channel, literally same thing kind of you were talking about, but it's called Weekend Seller Leads. And so throughout the week, if anyone asks for a call back on Saturday, we'll just drop them in there. And then when it does come time for, the weekend, obviously, they can just click in that chat and they have all the leads right there that specifically requested time on Saturday. So that's helped us for sure. So
That's
yeah.
smart. I'm gonna steal that from you.
Yeah, so that's been good. And then we also have another one if anyone wants to steal it, just titled appointments, because sometimes when we're close on a price, instead of like negotiating for days and trying to, come up on our price, we like to use pictures as a lever to increase our price. And so that way it works in our favor because first of all, we have pictures of the property. So if we do get under contract, we can start immediately marketing it. And as you know, you guys, when you get a property under contract, sometimes it can take weeks to even get pictures to even see the property. And so when we're close on a property, and we define close as like 20 to 30,000 apart on asking price. And so if we're within that range with a seller, we'll really push for that appointment to see if we can get pictures of the property before going under contract. And we just kind of pitch it to them like, hey, we're kind of stuck at this number, but if some of these upgrades you made are actually true and the property looks better than what we are anticipating, we might be able to bridge that gap or even come up to your asking price. And most of the time they're just like, okay, no problem. And so then we go out, we take pictures, we get those pictures back, and then it gives us either room to negotiate lower if it's like not in good shape, or sometimes we can come up because it is a clean property. So anyways, that was a long-winded way of saying we have a second Slack thread that's just for appointments, and same thing, they drop in anyone who's agreed to that photo appointment, and then our team just knows to reach out and schedule that with the appropriate person, like who's ever local to that area. So yeah, that's just I guess a quick tip that we do. But this week I shared that because this week we had like I think six photo appointments completed, which is great because a lot of times we can get those deals even more than we would if we didn't have pictures. So that's helpful. And also we can kind of pitch it to these people like we never want to pitch like a guaranteed offer, quote unquote, but we can pitch it to these people like, hey, look, a lot of times we go under contract sight unseen, we don't know what we're getting into, but in this case, we've already seen your property, we're comfortable at this number, and we don't say a guarantee, but like we're comfortable that we can close at this number. And so a lot of times I think that helps us with other buyers who might be out of state just like us, but who haven't seen the property, and so I think that helps us kind of seal the deal in that case. But yeah, so that was that. And then this week was a big week for dispo, so we didn't get too many contracts, but we did sell 4 property this week, so that was great. And yeah, thank you. And 2 of those were sold over asking, and so that was encouraging because
Awesome.
I definitely have noticed the market slowing down a bit. But that being said, if you price your deal, competitively or aggressively, you can still go over asking. So that was exciting to see. That was my first 2
Yeah,
this month at least.
that
And
always.
so yeah, so one of those was just like a few thousand over, but the other one was actually a JV deal that someone brought to us, and we sold it for 11,000 over asking. So that was a win for us.
That's
And kind of a shocker for me on how much activity this guy. Smithfield, North Carolina is not like a super hot market, but I guess maybe it is. I don't know.
Isn't that
But
where they process pork and stuff over there?
yeah, I think so. There's definitely a good barbecue presence over there. But yeah, so I guess if anyone's marketing North Carolina, that could be a good place to target. But yeah, that was good. We got that one, and then we had another one sold that we've been working on for a while. And then, like I said, we got that price reduction on Saturday. And as soon as we got that, we just signed it with the buyer because we already had a buyer ready to go, but we just needed that price reduction. So that was great to get a price reduction and a sale on Saturday. Um, and that was kind of just a lucky break for me on the sales side because we worked with these buyers a long time ago, like 2 years ago, and I don't get too many deals out this way. It's toward like the mountains in North Carolina, but I did this 11 unit deal with these people a long time ago, and so they'll never forget me for that. I'll never forget it either. That's a very challenging deal, but thankfully for that, they ended up buying this deal. And for example, this buyer was at 65, and all of my other buyers were at 40 or less.
Oh
And
wow.
so, like I said, literally just a lucky break because the seller is not going to go down to 30,000. That's where I would have needed them for my other offers. But I just got a lucky break with this one buyer, and like I always say, you only need one buyer. And so, yeah, we got lucky on that one, and we're able to sell it and hopefully make a profit. So it's good.
But that's like shows the value of the more buyers you're reaching out to, the more chance you have of that, right?
For
That
sure.
the whole investor base thing is just like cast your net wide, talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah. And I re-engage these people from investor base because, like I said, I closed a deal with them 2 years ago, but I don't really do deals out there. And so I ended up re-engaging them because of investor base. And then they remembered me when I reached out. They're like, "Oh, we remember closing this one with you." And so that was good. But yeah, like I said, all the other offers are coming in much, much lower. So I would just say, don't give up if you have offers coming in lower, and definitely follow up with all your buyers because this person in particular, they saw the property like 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, and they didn't give me offer, didn't give me offer. So I was just following up, like, hey, are you gonna give me an offer on this one? And I was trying to create urgency, like we do have other offers, which we did, but they were just super low. And finally they went back and looked in the crawl space and all this stuff, and then they gave me an offer. So just don't give up if your buyers aren't giving an offer. Just push to get an offer out of them. So yeah, that was that. And then we also got 3 5-star reviews this week, which is awesome.
Sweet.
That's another thing that we track. So that's great. And we were like well under my goal for the week, but now I think we're on track. We are up to 81 reviews in total on Google, and I think we have, I don't know, a few bad ones. And so I think we're in the high 70s on 5 stars, and I'm trying to get to 100 this year. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. But yeah, I'll jump into it now. Enough delaying. And so we had this one deal that finally closed this week on Monday. And this deal we've been working on for, let's see, over 2 years technically. And so the lead came in April 2023. So this is an SMS campaign that we launched way back in 2023. And it was in Durham, North Carolina. And the campaign, for anyone who's interested, we call it the owner occupied no data campaign. And what that typically gets when you do it that way, just for the science behind it, is you typically are getting inter-family transfers, which is exactly the case here. And when you do that owner-occupied filter, you're getting those because it wasn't owner-occupied, but then they inter-family transferred it to someone else. And so a lot of times you're getting inherited properties, or they might just quick claim it to someone else in the family, before someone passes, stuff like that. And so we've gotten a lot of good deals from that list. So I just wanted to share it with people. But in this case, this
Owner
list
occupied and no data.
owner occupied no data. So I pull it from list source. And what I mean by no data, I should explain that. We have a list pulling video if anyone's interested. You can probably search it on our channel. But
Yeah.
this is no data for me means unknown equity. So there's no data on the equity, and unknown sale price. So there's no data on the equity and the sale price. So that's what I mean by that. But this list was very good for us. So for example, we pulled 3,400 records, which is not a huge list, not a small list, kind of in between. And we got 27 leads from that. So almost 10% of those things were leads. So that's pretty good for us. And then yeah, we got this deal from it and a bunch of other leads, obviously. So anyways, that was the campaign behind it. And then this lead came in April. We were following up with this guy for quite a while, I think about a year and a half before we finally got under contract. And then we went under contract in August of 24, right? And so you're thinking maybe we would close in 2024, which I was thinking too, but that wasn't the case. And so we get under contract in August. And it's a property in Durham, good area, kind of over by North Carolina Central, so a pretty good area. And and so we sold it pretty quick. And then that's where the issue started. And so this seller had moved out, and his stepdaughter was living in the property. So there was a bit of a butting heads there. He wanted her to move out, of course. She'd been living there, I think, over 5 years at this point, rent free. Because she's a family member, so just living there without paying any rent.
Well, why
And
would
so,
she move?
what?
Why would she want to move? Those are always the people
Exactly.
who want to move. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, we were just trying to help him throughout the process. We were like, hey, we can help her look for a place and all this stuff. But it really just came down to their relationship. And he just, for whatever reason, obviously 5 years, he hasn't done it. So what's another couple months? Like, he's not going to do it now. And so we were just following up, and it just wasn't happening at all. And so he went ghost on us for a little while. He actually lost his phone, and so he got a new phone number, and we had to find that. And then it was a lot of challenges on this deal. And so, anyway, we didn't close it in 2024. So that was like whatever 4 or 5 months working on it since August. And then in January, it was kind of when we re-engaged with him because he literally ghosted us for like a month and a half. And January, we re-engaged with him, and we still told him the same thing. We're like, hey, man, we're ready to close, but we can't close with your stepdaughter in there. So, like, what can we do to help you out? And he was just like, oh, like, I'm going to handle it, all this stuff. We're like, okay. And so, kudos to Duncan. We had Duncan meet up with him. I think this is around February, and we got a fresh contract signed because, technically our contract wasn't void yet, but we still wanted to get a new contract signed because the seller now was trying to turn it back on us. He's like, how do I know you guys are going to close? And they're like, dude, like, we've seen the property, we're under contract, we tried to schedule closing with you for 5 months, like, we're ready to close. And so he tried to turn it back on us. So we just kind of reinforced it, got a new contract signed, and we just told him, we're ready. And then he scheduled closing like 10 times. Every time we missed the date because the daughter still wasn't out. And then finally, I don't know what happened, but finally she ended up moving out. And so during this time, we had hired a realtor for him to send him like options for rental properties all throughout Durham and all this stuff. And this has been going
His
on for months.
stepdaughter.
And what's that?
Or his stepdaughter.
Yeah, for his stepdaughter, like showing him all these different places she could move to. And in the end, I think she just ended up moving in with him. And so
Oh God.
that's a whole nother issue that he's gonna have to deal with. But yeah, and so anyway, she finally looked like she was moving out early June. And then we did late a few more times, but then we get to the closing documents finally. And Duncan helps us out with a lot of stuff, and he's already familiar with the seller. He had met him at the property for pictures, he met him for the contract. He actually met him at a coffee shop just to like talk to him because this guy is a very face-to-face guy. He's an older guy, trucker, and he's just very face-to-face type of guy. So Duncan literally met him at a coffee shop in Chapel Hill, and they talked for like an hour and a half. And I got on a three-way with him at that meeting, and like we were talking and stuff, and it was just like hold on all the stops for this guy. But then we
Bless,
finally, what's that?
said God bless Duncan.
I know.
He goes above and beyond.
Duncan is the best, man. Yeah. But he always, Duncan always helps us out in these cases. Like he always puts in such a good word for us. He's such a nice guy. And he's very helpful in these cases. And so I think, without him, we definitely wouldn't have closed it. But we come time to the closing and Duncan's got the documents and everything. He scheduled an appointment with the seller. And then the day before Duncan's supposed to sign with him, seller calls Duncan and he's like, well, why is my wife's name on this? Like she doesn't own the property, all this stuff. And so then like he's throwing a wrench in at the last second. And as we know, North Carolina is a marital state. And so that doesn't matter.
Wait, how many months is this after?
Well, this is June. So what's August to June? That's like 10 months, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're 10 months in. We're literally 2 days before closing at this point. And he calls Duncan, and I thought this was gonna blow everything up. And he calls Duncan, he's like, listen, why does my wife need to be on this? Like, I'm on the deed, I'm paying the mortgage, all this stuff. You know how sellers get. Like for some reason, I've noticed, me and Duncan talked about it for like 30 minutes, but we've had a lot of sellers that are this way. And so like I don't mean to get in anyone's business at all, but for some reason it seems, especially with the men, they for some reason don't want to include their wife, I guess, in business transactions or in real estate or something. I don't know. For some reason, they just want them to stay out of it. And what they fail to realize is that whether you sell it to us or any other buyer in the world, you have to, she has to sign. And so it's not like we're not putting this on you. Like that's just the law in North Carolina. And so, anyways, Duncan called me and we talked about that because we have another couple of sellers that we're working on escrow that haven't closed for the same kind of reason. They just like, I don't know, they're estranged, but they're still married. Like it's weird. But anyways, and so he was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna check with the closing attorney, and I'll get back to you and stuff. And so then Duncan calls me, explains it to me, and he's like, obviously this is like we need his wife to sign. So I'm just gonna call him back first thing in the morning, and I'm gonna tell him that I spoke to the closing attorney, and that's just the way it is. So I was like, yeah, sounds good. And so we agreed on that, and then we got a signing close. But there was just like so many roadblocks that jumped up on this one.
So how did you get the ex-wife to sign?
Well, they live together still, but he just didn't want her. He just didn't want her involved in his business.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so thankfully they lived together, right? So we didn't have to track down this ex-wife, but yeah, they lived together still. Just for whatever reason, he didn't want her involved. And then Duncan kind of explained to him, he was like, "Look, there's a proceeds disbursement form. Just put your bank account on there. You'll get the money. We just need her to sign off and everything." So,
oh man.
But yeah, it was kind of a weird scenario to pop up at the last second, and so yeah, that was that. And then to make matters even a little bit worse for us, we sold this deal in New Western. And in bad negotiating by me, back when I sold this deal to New Western, I had another property with New Western, which I really try not to work with them, as people know. But I had another property with them at the time, and they were like, "Hey, look, this property, the one that we just closed, is not in that good of shape after the walkthrough, whatever. But this other property is. So how about we increase your price on this property, we decrease your price on this Durham one because like we can't sell this one for as much, but we can sell. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. And so we increased the price. Like it was technically like a win for me because they increased the price like 6,000 on this other property in Rayford, and they decreased the price in Durham by 3,000. So then, long story short, as New Western does, they completely failed and backed out on me. And so the other property never closed. And
so they basically got a price reduction for it on you.
Exactly. And so I was frustrated, but I was just like, at this point, I was like, oh my gosh, forget it. And we never had an amendment signed. because it was just a verbal agreement, and so then we get time to closing and they're like, well, our price is low. And I was gonna like fight back and I was like, well, there's never amendment signed, but I was just like, well, I'll just eat it. And so I had to eat that. And we, after 10 months, technically over 2 years working on this deal, we made a whopping $8,000. So that was awesome. But but it's still obviously a win to close a deal, and I'm fortunate to be able to make money on it. But yeah, I would have wished that we made a little bit more money on that after all the work we put in. And if I had to do it again, like I would have hoped that we just terminated with New Western and sold it to someone else. Because at this point, the market is a little bit slower now, maybe, but I think we could have sold it for more money on our own, at this point in the market. So, anyways, that was a deal story.
So a year to close and 10,000 profit.
8,000.
8,000. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So,
Better than nothing.
yeah, definitely better than nothing. And we still close it, and we got a 5-star review from the buyer because I was like, look, listen, I'll eat this money, but we need a 5-star review, and so that was a win. But but we did get a 5-star for the seller after all that, so that was a letdown. But
that's a good way, good leveraging so New Western gave you a 5-star.
yeah, so that was nice. And it doesn't say like New Western, it's just the person who works there. So
Yeah.
it's just like yeah.
Yeah,
But,
we got to be more diligent about getting reviews. You've been doing way better at it than us. We got a 5-star this week too, but we had, I was like, guys, we need reviews, and then people started going back and following up with people.
yeah.
We have more of a process in place. So we got somebody who joined us on the chat. James
Oh,
G
awesome.
says, "How are you guys today? You guys tried speed to lead?"
Yes, I have.
To lead.
What's that?
What's the deal? You're laughing. So what's the?
Well,
I think
I
you've
don't
talked
want to.
on this podcast before, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we had a PPL episode. I think I talked briefly in that episode.
Also, that's a PPL company.
Yeah. So if you want to check back on that episode, I'm sure you can find it if you search like PPL or something. But yeah, I'll be happy to touch on it real quick. So basically, just for you, Dad, it's a pay per lead company, and they have a multitude of services that they offer. And so I've heard good and bad things from other people based on the different services they offer, right? And so I think it's kind of like 50-50 with them. I'll just speak on my experience real quick, and then I can dive into the rest of their stuff. But I was signed up with their coupon club. And so the way that works is you pay a monthly fee. I think at the time I signed up, it was $200. I think it's more expensive now, but you pay $200 a month to be a part of their coupon club, right? And then every lead only costs you $29. So it's basically the price of like a SMS or cold call lead, pretty cheap. But these leads are supposed to be like online leads, right? Like Facebook leads, YouTube.
Do they allow you to refund them if they're bad?
No, not in my experience, not at all.
That's
And so, and so it's a trade-off, right? Because with PPL, you're normally spending 100 to 200 to more per lead. In this case, you're only spending $30. And so that's why I tried it out, because I was like, it's $200 a month upfront. So you've got that. But then if you blend the cost, you're still around like 30, $40 per lead. And so it's fairly cheap. And I tried it. I can check my exact stats, but I think we got like 50, 60 leads from it. And they were just not good leads at all. And so that was my experience in North Carolina, at least, but maybe
it's
different
kind of like
parts
a bait and
different.
switch scenario, right? Because they suck you in with the low prices, but then if you can't get a refund on a lead, they can send you as many leads as they want at $30, and they can be crappy, and they're
Exactly.
going to make money off you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'll just pull up my real time stats. So we got 50 leads, not 60. So 50 leads. And if I'm just looking through right here real time, all these leads, like I'll just read through it literally. Do not contact, retail lead, do not contact, duplicate lead, do not contact, bad phone number, not interested. I'm literally reading through real time. And so that's my experience. That's my experience with these leads, is that they're not good leads. They're being sold to numerous people. I don't know how many, but they're not exclusive. And so you're getting the same lead that hundreds of other people are getting.
Wow.
And so, so anyways, I'll just put a bow on it. I would not recommend that service, the coupon club, especially if you're just starting out, because you're just burning money. I haven't done their other stuff. So they also have a marketplace where you can literally pick and choose the leads. That's kind of cool, but I still don't think those leads are exclusive. And so you can go on there and you can see the details of the lead, not the phone number, of course, but you can see the city it's in, beds and baths, stuff like that, and not the address and phone number. But then you can choose, okay, I want to buy this lead. But I've heard in my experience that those are also not exclusive leads. I just haven't tried it. And so they have that.
The ones that we've been using, are those exclusive?
I don't know. I mean, you never know. But I'm just saying, like,
Novation hopefully closes in 2 weeks from their coupon club.
oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's working for you. Like I said, I signed up because I had a couple friends also in North Carolina that were like, sign up for the coupon club. It's awesome. So I was like, okay, I'll always try it. And that was just my experience. Like we got 50
Well,
leads.
50 leads is a good sample size.
I thought so. So I was like, maybe I should just cut it at 50 and not get to 100 and then waste even more money.
No,
But I don't know.
we talked about this on our paper lead episode, but propertyleads.com, I think I had like 12 leads and we closed a deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's a small sample size and we already closed one. And I think we still have a couple leads in our system from them. But so I would think 50, you get a pretty good gauge. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
law of big numbers. So maybe if you did 100, you'd get 3 leads in the second 50, but who knows? I mean, 3 closed. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean, with him saying he got a deal from it, I might try it again because I think it's more. I think you need to, if you're looking at the coupon club, you need to think of it more of a cold call or SMS ratio where you might get 50 to 100 leads to get a deal. So I think I could probably try it again and probably get a deal like you said. So,
I wonder,
but the one thing
James,
I noticed,
how many leads you've had? Are you still on?
oh yeah, let us know how many leads you got.
How
That'd be
many
good.
leads did it take you to get that one Novation deal?
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Yeah. But for me, the other thing I noticed with them, and this was my fault for signing up for the counties that I did, but I had a lot of duplicate leads, meaning we already had these leads in our system, and then I'm paying additional $30 for the same lead I already had. So I think if I did it again, I would do counties where I'm not so heavy in. Like for
Yeah.
Durham, Raleigh, for example, I have so many leads in those areas where we were just getting duplicates over and over. But I think if I went in some of the other counties, it would be a better experience. So maybe I'll try it again. That's encouraging to try it
Getting
again.
duplicate leads, though, then that suggests to me that they're using older data, right? Like it would be similar to using PropStream or PropWare, where that data has been out there for a while. If you're getting the same
Mhm.
leads you already have in your system, not
Yeah.
not super fresh, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had good. I've done propertyleads.com, and then what's the other one that you do?
Motivatedsellers.com.
Motivated sellers, yeah. And
Yeah.
you're having a higher quality of leads. You find property leads to be the best, right? Of those,
Yeah,
or not?
they're about the same for me, motivated sellers and property leads, but those are much more expensive, obviously. So he says that we can send them a call according to get a refund, 30% get refunded. So that's awesome. So I didn't know that because I tried to reach out to them to refund a few of them and
Okay.
crickets. I never heard back from them at all. So I don't know if I need to send it to a different email or something. I don't know. But I tried to reach out to their
And
support.
you're saying 30% get refunded,
I never heard back. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
on property
if they get refunded, then that's even better. Because yeah.
on property leads, though, I'm getting 100% refund on things I'm trying to refund.
Yeah, I think he was saying like 30% of the leads are bad. I think
Oh,
that's
I thought you were saying 30% of them get refunded.
oh, maybe I don't know. I guess you could clarify that. If you send them 10 leads that you want a refund, do they refund you only three, or does that mean only?
Sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But
But
yeah,
they're
that's
only
still,
$30, so they're not $150 like property leads.
yeah, better than nothing. So, for me, is 50 leads times $30, $1,500. So, it's not a super expensive experiment. I would have loved to get a deal from it, but after this, I might sign up again. So we'll see how it goes. Try it again. But yeah, I appreciate your feedback and comments. Oh, you refund creating a ticket. Okay. Well, I'll look into that. I'll try them again. See if my next 50 leads brings a deal. We'll see.
Yeah, I need some more lead gen too. We haven't had the cash to do direct mail because we've been in a drought, and you need extra cash to do that. So we've just been doing SMS, but I'd like to
You
find
should
some
try it out with me. We'll both try it out and see who gets a deal first.
do a test.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's not too expensive, and especially like he's saying, if you get a refund, then that's awesome. So seller must say stop calling, not interested under contract. Oh, that's perfect because most of these leads says stop calling, so I'll definitely get a refund off of that. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear his feedback. But in my experience, like obviously you have to be fast to call these people. But in my experience, they weren't exclusive because when we call these people, they're like, "This is our 10th call today. Stop calling." Right. So we could get a refund for that. But that was just what I was saying. They weren't like
Just
exclusively.
blasting it out to a bunch of different people who subscribe to the coupon club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dad, if you want to try it out, sounds like he's had a good experience. It's very simple to sign up. I will say I like their website a lot. It's very easy to use. You can just go on there and subscribe to all the counties you're interested in, and it's super easy to get set up. So that is a plus side of it for sure. Oh.
Cool. What else we got here? Anything?
No, I think that's it. But I appreciate the feedback, James. I'm gonna try that again. Try SP delete again. Maybe next week we'll get a deal. We'll see. That'd be fun.
Should we talk about tools or anything? You got any Didn't you mention another tool? I talked about GeekPay, investor base. We've been talking about. I guess there was an investor base workshop this week where they've set up their integrations with Zapier now, so you can really easily zap your investor base leads to your CRM, or you can. They're saying you're going to be able to do click to call within investor base, click to call or SMS directly from investor base, which is going to be great for calling through smart match buyers. Like when you get a property that you put in an investor base and then you pull up the buyer list, you'll be able to call from that list, I believe. Now that
Yeah,
we
that'd
have
be great.
situations, yeah.
I've been
So that's
asking him for that for a while. So
yeah, they were pumped about finally getting that set up. Yeah, so they've got
yeah,
that, and then being able to push buyers to your CRM really easily as well. So that's we always talk about investor base. We're both very high on it with using it for both disposition and acquisitions. It's designed as a disposition tool, but it's really great for finding price points that buyers are paying for acquisitions. So if you're doing some sort of a platform like that, I'd definitely recommend Investor Base over something like PropStream if you're paying money for something, because I think you're going to get better comping value and analysis from Investor Base than PropStream. And PropWire has a lot of the same stuff anyway, free.
yeah, their comping tool has been a really big help for us. We've been using that a lot, the investor
Yeah,
base. Yeah,
it's a game changer because it aggregates it all for you and shows the average cost per square foot people are paying, and flippers versus landlords, all that stuff. It's great, great
yeah,
platform. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's a great tool. And then we use it in combination with easy texting, which I'm sure I've talked about before, but it's really helpful to be sending deals out to your buyers that way. Launch control isn't the easiest to get set up with for sending out to buyers. And so I like easy text better for that because it's easy, like the name suggests. So, but yeah,
Yeah, we do our blasts on Smarter Contact. Just put it in
yeah,
this campaign and blast it out.
awesome. Oh, and then I guess I could talk about launch control real quick. We talked about it many times, but I did sign up for my third account this week. I told you I was going to do that offline, so just wanted to mention that to you. But it was really easy because I haven't done this in a while, so I was curious what the process looks like now. It's even easier than it was before. So we signed up on Monday, or I signed up on Monday, and they approved my 10 DLC registration by Wednesday, and we were up and running Wednesday. So 2 day turnaround, I think is awesome. So just wanted to share that for anyone who's interested in SMS. This is our third account with Launch Control, and right now we just started off with their second tier. So they have the lowest plan. We're at the second tier, and I have full intentions of maxing that out very soon. So that will be up
What's
to free.
what's the SMS volume you're doing daily or weekly now?
Well, before that, we were at 240,000 outbound per month text. And so now we'll be at additional, whatever, 25,000 per month. And then I'll be trying to max that out as fast as we can. So we'll be up to another, what is it? I think it's 10,000 a day. I could recheck. No, not 10,000 a day. I'm sorry. 5,000 a day. So we'll be up to 15,000 a day pretty soon.
You're doing 5,000 a day right now.
We're doing 5,000 a day on two accounts, so 10,000 a day. And then
Oh,
this newest one lets us send out 1,200, but I do want to max that out. So I think pretty soon we'll be at 15,000 a month or 15,000 a day. I'm sorry, in terms of texting.
wait, 5,000 for two accounts and then 1,200. That's only 11.2.
Yeah, but I'm going to max out this third account and it'll be at 15,000.
Oh, I thought the third account was a lower tier.
No, it is. I'm saying I'm going to increase it to the highest tier pretty soon.
Oh, you'll max. I thought
Yeah.
you were saying max out.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I should have worded that better. But yeah, right now I'm at the 1,200 per day with them, but I do plan to increase it to the
To increase
max account, max
yeah.
level on launch control.
And how many people do you have blasting when you're doing that number volume? How many text blasters do you have?
I just have two. Yeah, they crush it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just like we have one person text blasting on our team, and we're doing roughly 5,000 per day, and that's 6 days a week, so it's 30K per week, so it's 120 per month. So about half of what you've been doing is what we've been doing for SMS volume.
Yeah, we just that's been our best channel, and so I've delayed honestly opening a third account. I should have done this sooner, but I've honestly been expecting SMS to go down because all the online gurus tell you that SMS is dead and you shouldn't use it. And so I like to be the opposite end of the spectrum, which is to go hard on SMS. And, I have a school community and all that stuff. And most people obviously don't take action, but one of my friends who did join my school community dove in and listened to everything I said about launch control, and he's crushing it. He's absolutely crushing it. He's not even on the max tier. He's on, I think, the one right above my 1200. So I think he's sending out like 2,000 texts per day, and he's crushing it. He did like 5 deals in May just with launch control. It's the only thing he does, and he's doing 3 to 5 deals a month within 60 days of starting with launch control. So he's crushing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
He is a realtor, so he gets to double dip. He gets to get listings and wholesales. So those are not all wholesales, but he's crushing it with launch control. He loves it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. But I saw
Yeah.
another question from James. Sorry to cut you off, but
Oh, that's
he
okay.
said,
Go ahead.
he said, how much does 3 accounts with launch control cost per month? Well, I'll just share with you. This current one that I want is called the core plan, which is $797 a month. And then the very top tier that you can get is $34.97 a month. And so about 3,500, we'll just round it up. So 7,000 for those 2 max accounts, and then additional, I'll just round up to 800 here. So 7,800 for those 3 accounts.
But what's your ROI on SMS right now? Like 6 or 7x?
Just this year in 2025 is 7x, and all time over 3 or 4 years is higher than that. It's 8.5x. So it's
Yeah,
really good.
and I'm in that same ballpark with
Yeah.
you. I'm like in the 6 to 8x ballpark of ROI from SMS. So, James, when you ask what the cost is, and if it's feeling like a risk to you, it's not that much of a risk, because when you put that money out, if you follow up on those leads, you're going to get a great return. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you got half the return that we're getting like 7 or 8x. Even if you got 3.5 to 4x, you're still making a ton of money.
And I
So
think like I don't know where James is at in his business, but I think if you're just starting out, you'll get even higher return. Like we have VAs managing this for us, and so there's going to be some kind of falling through the cracks there, obviously. But I think if you're managing this yourself and you're hands on, you'll get an even higher return with SMS. So, but he
yeah.
asked you a question specifically. He said, "Hey Mark, do you see a difference with Smarter Contact and launch control?" So, can speak on that.
Well, we are using exclusively Smarter Contact right now, and part of that is because we had an issue, I guess, in 2023. I can't even remember now, but we got our account blocked, carrier block or whatever it was. We got flagged, and we had major downtime. We were only on launch control at that time, and so we jumped onto Smarter Contact to try and shore up our business, and while we're waiting for launch control to come back. But launch control is really bad about helping us out. And there was a little bit of a crisis. What was that, 2023, Jasper, when they
Yeah.
changed the standards with the carriers and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
there's kind of a crisis in SMS, and they were cracking down on a lot of people, but we got hit. And launch control is really, we we didn't appreciate the time it took them or their responsiveness in getting us back online. They were telling
Yeah.
us they were helping, but we had a bunch of downtime with them. So that was the reason that we chose to go with Smarter Contact, or one of the reasons, because they were more responsive and their service was better. The other thing about them is that when you're on their platform, if you're texting and a seller calls, you can get the calls within Smarter Contact, which Launch Control does not have.
Hmm.
So we really appreciate that, because you can do that at the time. Smarter Contact has RVM, which is illegal to use for marketing. You can only use it if somebody's already in your system. But Smarter Contact does have RVM. As far as the interface goes, just day to day using the interface, I think they're about a draw. But Launch Control's drip sequences are really great. I think they're superior to Smarter Contact. They're just very easy to automate, and visuals are really great on it. The canned messages, whatever each platform calls them, where you can just put automatic snippets that you've saved as responses to basic seller responses or queries or objections. Those are pretty much on par on both platforms, so I don't see any advantage either place there. I think loading campaigns might be a little bit easier in Launch Control to load campaigns. Statistics on the dashboards, I really like and they both have pretty good statistics too. That's the breakdowns. I think Smarter Contact might have a slight edge for me on the dashboard with the breakdowns, but both of them have really good stats for you to track your results. So I wouldn't say one's hands down better than the other. I know Jasper loves lunch. And honestly, Jasper, with what you're sharing right now, we're going to open another SMS account too. So I'd probably open a launch just to be side by side. And also,
Yeah.
to shore up our business just in case something went down with Smarter Contact. We'd have launch and vice versa.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
We were phasing out launch because of the bad experience we had with that crash. And then also it was just like, well, let's just do the one platform. But I think it's a good idea to shore things up and have backups. So I probably we will open another launch account. So I don't have anything against their platform. I think it's great, and I think service and Smarter Contact is really at the end of the day their service is about the same. Neither one's great with responding to you and helping you out. Kind of both okay, and they both tout like you get the VIP service when you go to this upper tier, but you really don't, right, Jasper? You get the same service that
I
you had.
mean, I will say now that I have two max accounts, they do treat me better. They respond faster to me. So I will say,
And
I
I've
think
been
that,
at the top tier on both of them, and they say VIP service and stuff, and
yeah,
personal concierge, all that stuff. I don't know, like,
yeah.
but you're saying you're having more of an experience of that, so maybe
Yeah,
it's
I do agree with you because in 2023 that was rough for everyone who was using any SMS, I think. But I didn't have a great experience. I just stuck with them because I didn't want to switch. But their support team I think has improved. They respond much faster now and they are seem more helpful. And so just real quick, maybe to put a bow on it, do you know the pricing on Smart Contact? I could share the pricing on this, but do you know the pricing on Smart Contact?
I'd have to pull it up. I don't know it off the top of my head. I can probably pull
Okay.
it pretty quickly though.
Well, I'll just share with James. Just saw that he said I'm in Chicago suburb market, also a realtor. So yeah, if you're not doing SMS, I would definitely recommend it because, like I said, my friend, his name is Nick. He's in the North Carolina market, but he's a realtor, and so he's using kind of investor type language when he's reaching out via launch control for SMS. But he's getting a lot of deals because he can do either one. He can list the property or he can offer to buy it cash. And so I think for realtors, it's even more powerful to be using this as a marketing tool. But I'll share for the one that I just signed up with. Like I said, it's $7.97 a month. You get 20,000 messages monthly. That breaks down to 1,200 per day. And they have a special right now. I think they'll probably always do this, but they have a special where if you sign up and pay the first 2 months up front, your third month's free. So you get a little bit of a discount there.
So we're in Smarter Contact. Our membership is called Elite Plus 50K, and that is 11.99. So it's $1,200 a month for Elite Plus 50K. And we're going beyond our limit right now because we're right at the threshold. There's another tier higher than this one, and I think we've been in it and downgraded back. But the tier higher than this one, you pay more money and you get more text. But we're right at that point where paying the overage on our current plan is about the same as if we got the other plan. So we haven't done it, if that makes sense. Like if you go over the limitation, then you're paying extra per blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they have another, let's see if I could say update plan. So they got Elite Plus 50K for 1,200. They got Elite Plus 75K for 1,500, and Elite Plus 100K for 17.99 a month. So 100K texts, 75 texts, and 50 texts, 50K texts. So
Nice.
yeah. So we haven't gone up to the next tier because we were right in that in between place. I guess what did I say we're doing? I guess we are doing 120 now. We've ramped up, so we probably should be upgrading. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's good for me to check. But when I did the math, it was like this is how much it costs you to go over, and then it was like, oh, it's not hardly worth it to even switch.
Yeah.
We
So it
didn't.
sounds like they're pretty comparable price wise because you're at twelve
Yeah,
hundred
and
bucks.
the basic one is less. The
Yeah.
intro plan is like $500 a month for their starter plan. I think it is something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think they probably have a similar to launch control, like a 500 to 700, then a 1,200, something like that, or 8, 12.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's a good breakdown on the SMS platforms. Any other questions, feel free to drop them. I appreciate all of your help and with the high speed delete and everything. I'm excited to try that out again. So
Yeah, in Chicago, we were just talking offline about which states have outlawed wholesaling and where you have to be licensed in order to wholesale, stuff like that. And so we're in North Carolina and we're facing a law that's in Congress to be passed this fall, which would say you have to be a licensed realtor to do wholesaling. And so I'm branching out into other states, and Jasper is looking to get his real estate license. So
yeah,
we're I've been licensed in California in the past, and I don't really want to do the licensing journey and the continuing ed and hanging my license with a broker and stuff. So I'm sort of pivoting to other states, and then also looking into other strategies to where I don't rely on wholesaling as much, like the flips and rentals and stuff like that.
For sure.
But yeah, nice time to be in Chicago right now in June by the lake.
Yeah, you were in Chicago a lot the last couple of years.
There last summer a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
In pickleball and riding a bike along the lake and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Chicago, but heard good things and seen good pictures and stuff from it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good town.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, I appreciate your feedback again, James. And I think we're pretty much going to wrap it up here. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them before we wrap up. But anything else you want to touch on?
No, I don't think so. I think we hit it all for now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we could just do a quick announcement. So if you guys want to follow us online, I think you can just search us up by name. And if you are in one of those states that's outlawing wholesaling, I have a new company that does transactional funding nationwide. So if you guys want to work with me on that, feel free. Shameless plug. But
Yeah. Well, I saw a couple of shout outs that you got though. It's like, so if you're trying to close a deal and you don't have the cash to do an A to B, B to C, just ring up Jasper and he'll float you for that closing. And you're not charging that much from what I hear. So it's
yeah,
totally worth it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, appreciate the plug from you too. But yeah, I just called it Bright Closings. So there's a website, Bright Closings, or Instagram or whatever. But if you guys want to go on the website or reach out to me, be happy to work with you. So
Yeah. I've used, I've had people help me that way before with closings, and it's a difference between closing a deal and not closing a deal. And
yeah,
it makes a huge difference, you know, to
yeah,
just have somebody there and be like, yeah, here you go.
yeah. So yeah, that's been fun. We're closing two of those tomorrow. So that's been a fun little venture to try out. It's been fun.
Sweet. And are you just meeting people through your Facebook and in your
I mean,
school?
right now it's just been like my friends, I think. But yeah, I have been trying to promote it online, but so far it's just been people I already know. So yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah. But
Good.
yeah, so hopefully people like this format. If you guys do, we'll plan to do the same time next week. So you can tune in then and ask your questions live, and hopefully get some good value from it. So yeah, appreciate everyone who tuned in live. And if you're watching on the replay, just drop your comments or questions for next week. So appreciate it, everyone.